Welcome to another episode of the Decoding Cross-Border E-Commerce Podcast. Aaron Bezant and I are back. Last time we were here talking about that we had acquired a broker in the U.S. Today, we're here talking about changes in the EU as it relates to their de minimis and duties. We knew this was coming. Aaron, tee this up. What's going on? How much is this? Who's it going to cost? How hard is it going to be to deal with? We need all the stuff.
All right. This is the copycat game. This is what kind of the trend I think we expected, and then it was accelerated with the changes in the U.S. EU kind of has gone through their history of, and actually a bunch of countries, trying to figure out what to do with e-commerce shipments and their de minimis values. Everyone attacked the VAT de minimis first, put in like IOSS and the other types of tax remittance schemes, which make it so customs doesn't have to worry about collecting those funds. Then the duty de minimis is the next one on the target list. The U.S. made a bold, abrupt move last year, even though they put it into the big, beautiful bill to have it, done away with next year, but in 2027. But that wasn't fast enough. So executive order came out, got rid of it last year. Industry had to, was completely disrupted, had to adapt to that. But also what happened was other parts of the world became a little emboldened and wanted to speed up their timelines too. EU is the next one. So the EU has been talking about removing their duty de minimis. The US changes. Everyone got a little antsy and wanted to move the timeline up on the EU. So here we are. Come July 1st, duty de minimis in the EU is gone. So it used to be you only had VAT. Now you're going to have VAT and duty on all shipments.
How much duty?
And this will only apply, the duty de minimis was €150. And now what's going to be charged on B2C shipments is €3 per line item.
Why aren't they just charging the normal, just like duty rates?
They're not ready to, and they will in 2 years.
Why aren't they ready?
Because there's like 27 different customs systems across the whole EU, and they're not technically ready to be able to calculate and deal with that across the whole union.
But they can do it above €150.
Yeah, but the
brokers can.
The scale of the number of packages, they decided to come up with a simplified process. And then they've got a whole, I can't remember what word they use, commission or a whole group now that it is over all the customs clearance in the EU. And they're building out the tech stack, what they call an EU data hub, over the next 2 years to be ready to actually charge the standard duty rate on these B2C shipments.
And Postal's a big problem too. They wouldn't be able to handle this.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
The Postal site,
just in general, there's a lot of disconnect across the EU on the way things need to be done. They're unifying that over the next 2 years. And so this €3 fee is temporary for a couple of years and only applies to shipments under €150 that are B2C.
And parcels going into Europe.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Correct. Now,
do you know why the parcel crossed the border though?
Why is that?
To get to the IOSS side.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it was. I know.
So now let's talk a little bit about the €3 fee. Okay. So if you're a retailer, you hear €3. Is that per package?
It's per tariff subheading. So basically, the lines on the shipment, it'll apply to that, right? So if you have a pair of pants and 5 shirts, as long as the shirts are listed as quantity 5, right, times number X, you should be at a €6 charge. I would be careful not to put 5 lines of t-shirts, just in case.
Yeah, duplicate 5 of the same line, quantity 1 would probably get you €15.
I think so.
Yeah, that's so it's similar to the if you work with express carriers, they have an additional line item fee where they charge you per line item over. They give you the first like 6 or so free, and then it's they charge you additional charge per line beyond that. Think of it as how you actually quantify how many €3 charges you'll get, similar to that. And it's usually grouped by HS code, by country of origin, and I'm missing something here.
Description.
Yeah, HS code, description. Like, really, it's the same products. Like
an HS code.
Yeah. So
HS code. Yeah.
This is where making sure your declarations are accurate and you're consolidating those line items appropriately will help you minimize your cost quite a bit. Because
Okay, so you're the merchant. Pro tip, try to consolidate your line items when you can. So you have compliantly, correct, when you can. All right, so that's merchants, they're going to have to be able to calculate this, right? Which is, it's not a terrible calculation, but when you think about all the other countries and everything else, chances are, hopefully you're using someone like us, and we're just automatically calculating that for you.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those that you could say, hey, I'll just throw an extra €3, build that into each product listing. But if someone's buying a couple T-shirts, you're actually only going to get hit with a €3 fee once and not twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some nuance there you have to navigate.
Yep.
So just being
because
aware.
if we're doing a calculation, we're going to aggregate we're going to classify them, aggregate at the AHS code level, create a generalized customs description for the documentation, so it's all just seamless.
Yep. And then the other interesting nuance of this is how it's collected. If you're using IOSS today, which all of our customers that we have, we're handling all the IOSS remittance for them, and it's usually been pretty cut and dry that, hey, if I've got a shipment going to the EU and it's under €150, I collect VAT and I remit it directly to through the IOSS system. And there is nothing that's collected at import. Or if it's over €150, all the VAT and all the duty is actually collected at import and then billed back to me typically by the carrier, right? Well, now you're going to have the IOSS VAT remittance still happening, and you're going to get the duty, this €3 duty, billed by the carrier. So now you got two different channels that
when it's under €150,
it's under €150.
You have two. Now you're getting just like it was when it was above €150 today, right?
Yeah, but it's only the duty that's coming under
correct.
€150.
But when you're over 150 today, if you still choose to do IOSS, right, you can pay through IOSS and then pay duties through.
No, IOSS is only for under €150. You're thinking of a different country that allows you to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is now. It just says, hey. There's usually a hard break. IOSS is only under €150, and it's only VAT, and VAT's just remitted. Or over €150, it's all billed it's both duty and tax billed by the carrier. Now it's split. You're still going to remit your VAT under €150, and you're going to get billed the duty.
Yeah. All right. So how do we usually help in this? That's the experience for the inbound, but on the collection mechanism, if we're doing the collection, is that just one collection?
And let's talk to that. And one thing I didn't point out is if you're sending with your commercial carriers, they will try to collect the €3 upon delivery if you're not sending it DDP.
Right, because they're acting as the declarant, and they'll
so that's
collect upon delivery and charge probably. Okay. So all right. So now we're getting into we understand how it impacts the merchants. Express carriers can collect upon delivery, right? Mm-hmm. What about the postal carriers, which is kind of the third leg here?
Well, they don't have that.
Have what?
Well,
can they collect upon delivery?
They can, and I think we need to take but I don't think they will.
That's a yes. I think we'll talk about that in another episode.
Yes,
but a few things to know about postal. I think for merchants, you're not going to get FTA treatment or trade agreement, preferential trade agreement treatment in the postal stream. Because they don't have the data requirements, it's not getting cleared by a broker. They're not going to be able to apply the foreign trade, the free trade agreements. Similar to this was happening in the U.S.
This is the U.S. too,
which U.S. is changing now. Now the U.S. is starting to move to their new process. We'll probably find out here soon, right? I would imagine that, which is why we became a broker. Is the shipments start getting cleared by a broker? It's going to go through the same phases in this world. I think we actually missed an important point on this, Aaron. When does this go into effect?
July 1st.
Okay.
July 1st. Yeah. And then, so July 1st, they roll this out. They simplified a few things in the calculation. And this is going to have an impact, right? And the €3 fee might be pretty problematic depending on the value of your shipments. But or not, depending on if you have really, higher value shipments and you're closer to that €150 threshold. But there's also another thing that was discussed that they decided not to roll out on July 1st. And that's some extra data elements they're going to be asking for come November 1st, which is product identifiers. Think, a part number, manufacturer number, those kind of things. They don't just want plain vanilla generic descriptions that say shirt. They actually want some sort of identifier of like No. What's the part number here? What are we talking about to help, shore up some of the data gaps that they have?
And when's that due?
November 1st.
November 1st. So giving you a 4-month grace period here. I do have a question for you, and now I get to quiz you. Returns. Do you get a refund on returns? No, you don't.
No,
that's really relevant to the retailers.
Yeah, for this €3 fee and even non-deliverables. That
once it's in,
it's in. And that was the same thing, and it still is the same thing coming into the U.S. There's no duty drawback. There's no once it comes into the commerce of the U.S. and it gets paid to CBP, it's done. So same thing here. It's that €3 fee is going to be paid, and it goes one way.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be disruptive. Trying to incentivize a little more larger shipments coming into the country, warehousing, distributing locally. I mean, the U.S. did the same thing. Cross-border, though, is still huge, right? It's still going to happen with e-commerce. Cross-border e-commerce is still going to be big. It's just going to be a little harder.
Yep. And this is, the U.S. was extremely disruptive for e-commerce retailers shipping into the U.S. Obviously, we were able to help solve some of that complexity, a lot of it for a number of our clients and postal operators and merchants. And the EU is going to be another disruption that's happening. That's where we can help. Yep. So when it comes to a typical IOSS merchant collecting the VAT, calculating that's 20 whatever percent. This is going to add another layer of complexity to it, but the way things work for our customers, we can help calculate everything, both VAT and this €3 duty charge, and we'll make sure it gets where it needs to go. We'll help remit it, and we can pay the brokerage bill that's coming from the carriers.
And in 2 years, on July 1st, 2028, we can do another episode saying, look, you already integrated it, and look, we're just going to calculate the standard duty rates like normal going into the EU.
Well, and this is just the beginning of a trend. The US and EU are just the first ones to move, and others are going to be following suit.
Yeah. All right. Hey, this was, I think, a good overview of what's coming. Thanks a lot, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Clint.